Hi guys, it's Kelsey
and Erin
from The Happy Mom.
Today we wanted to talk to you guys about transitioning from one kid to two. We each have two kids and both of them are really close in age. It was definitely a tough transition and you learned some things along the way. So we wanted to share our insight with you.
So first, we want to talk about routines. Not necessarily schedules, but a routine so that each day you kind of have the same rhythm so your children know what to expect. This really helps if you establish it before your second kid's born so that when you bring your baby home, your toddler kind of already knows what to expect and it doesn't throw, I don't know what I'm saying.
It doesn't throw off your mojo, your groove.
Your mojo, it doesn't.
Your mommy groove.
Yeah, it keeps it more, what am I saying?
It's an easy transition.
Makes for an easier transition. There you go.
For you and your toddler and the baby. But it's important not to get hung up on times and just more of a routine, not necessarily a scheduled time.
Like after lunch, every day we take a nap.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if we eat lunch at 11 or 2:30. Whatever happens.
Or 5, you know.
Whatever.
You're adjusting. It's cool.
Yeah.
Number 2, carriers. It's really important to have a good carrier. I use the Lily carrier.
I love my Tula.
And a lot of people are really, really big fans of the Ergo. So find a carrier that works for you and you definitely want to strap on that baby so you have 2 hands available for chasing toddlers.
So number 3, simultaneous napping. If you can get your children napping at the same time at least once a day, it's magical. Magical, I tell you. And it's difficult in the first few weeks because, you know, your newborn naps all day long, it seems like some days, and then not at all. So just keep trying. It won't happen every day, but when it does.
Make sure that you have mom friends. It's tough. As you know, being a mom just to 1 is hard. 2 is definitely a transition. Have mom friends that you can go to. Have mom friends that you can ask, hey, can I drop off the baby or the toddler? Or they can come play for a little bit. Even just to reach out and say, is this normal? I've been feeling worried about whatever the event is. Or tell me, how did you handle this situation? Mom friends are so important.
But mom friends are sometimes hard to find. We really encourage you to reach out to YouTube and to podcasts. When I was pregnant with my second, so when I still had one, I found that I was lonely a lot of the time because I stayed home with her full time and she wasn't able to communicate with me. So I found that listening to podcasts and watching videos really helped me connect, and I also learned so much. And I think the main thing is that I learned that I wasn't alone, that there were so many moms out there just trying to figure it out just like I am.
And a lot of those awesome podcasts, YouTube channels, or online groups have an online community, which is really great because it is hard to find mom friends, especially in your area that you click with. And so to be able to find them online is a step in the right direction.
So our next tip is involving your toddler in feeding times. Whether you bottle feed or breastfeed, having your child with you during those times, I feel, helps make the transition a little bit easier. When I was nursing my baby, I tried to involve my daughter as much as I could. We would bring toys or read books and play right here while I was nursing. And I really think it helped her not be as jealous because we were getting to spend time together as well.
That's a great tip, Kelsey. I didn't do that when I had my second child, and I really wish I had. I feel like I would have nursed longer. And even with the bottle feeding, a lot of times my first child, it was kind of like, oh, go figure out what to do, and I'll be with you in 30 minutes. But you're doing it all the time. You sort of feel like you're nothing but walking food. And that's okay, because it's awesome. But you need to have a way to incorporate your toddler. Our next tip is providing a space and a time for your toddler to be able to do independent play. So making sure that you have a room where you know they can go in there, they can play by themselves for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whether it's to go nurse a baby or go have 10 minutes of sanity to yourself. You know, put the baby in the bouncer and take a shower, which is like amazing. when you first get home. So being able to have time where they can be independent, they can safely play, they have toys that they like, they can reach, and you're not going to be constantly worried about what's going on.
And with my first, we had a playroom that was completely safe for her. And when I was pregnant with my second, I might have taken a few naps on the floor in that room while she played. But with my second, we got a big gate that we just sectioned off a corner of our living room and had safe toys in there so that he could play and be free to explore and learn without me interfering.
Number 9 is something that we wanted to talk to you about. It's really kind of before the transition, and I remember being so worried about whether or not I would be able to still be a good mom to my first child. I remember worrying whether I would love my second child as much as I love my first child. Those are all really normal fears, and I promise you, as soon as that baby gets here, you'll realize they're unfounded. But give yourself some grace in feeling those. If you need to have a moment over it, it's okay. Not to mention pregnancy hormones are totally crazy. So go ahead, have a good cry, eat some ice cream. But I promise you, both your kids will be well loved.
Yes. And that brings us to our last tip, which is grace. Just shower yourself with grace. You are trying to figure it out. You have 2 tiny humans that you're responsible for. And we don't know what we're doing at first. Babies don't come with a manual. So just give yourself some grace.
You are still a first-time mom. I remember feeling like I should know better because I already did this once, but I never had to split my time before. I never had to figure out nursing or feeding a baby or changing one, or how do I keep one quiet and the other one screaming, or what happens when they're both screaming and how do you handle that. And it's okay. It's hard. You're figuring out, you're learning, they're learning, you will get your groove, and it will be awesome. But in the meantime, give yourself some grace, girl, because you're doing awesome.